Okay, we're going to look at three problems in section 6.2, numbers 2, 3, and 4. I decided to stick 4 in here as well. And we're just going to calculate the average value of the function over the given interval. So recall, this is the average value. You will need to know this relationship. And again, it's just basically essentially the integration from a to b of the function. Oh, that's the integrating the function over the interval from a to b is like adding up, right? Essentially the infinite number of values, if you think about it, and then dividing by the length of the interval. That gives us the average value. So it's just number 2. We'll start with that one. The function is x to the fourth on this interval. So a is 0, b is 5. It's 1 over b minus a is 5 minus 0, or 5. Integral from 0 to 5 of x to the fourth. So that's pretty easy to do. By the fundamental theorem of calculus, part 1, the antiderivative of x to the fourth is 1/5 x to the fifth. Don't forget this 1/5 out here, so that's 1/25 x to the fifth. Evaluate x to the fifth at 5 and at 0 and subtract. I get 5 cubed divided by 25, which is 5 cubed divided by 5 squared, by the way, which is 5 to the fifth divided by 5 squared, which is 5 cubed. All right, and there's number 2. Number 3, we have this function, 6 times cosine of x on this interval. And so our a is 0, our b is pi over 2. So we're integrating from 0 to pi over 2, 6 times the cosine function. So we'll just evaluate this. I got pi over 2 in the denominator. 1 divided by pi over 2, right, is the same as 2 over pi, right? The reciprocal 1 over pi over 2 is 2 over pi. The antiderivative of 6 cosine of x is 6 sine x. 2 times 6 gives me 12 over pi. Sine evaluated at pi over 2 is 1. Sine of 0 is 0. Of course, this is 1, and I get 12 divided by pi. That is the average value for this function on this interval. And then number 4, we'll do the same thing. This function, though, is 7x to the negative 2 over this interval. So a is 8 and b is 12. So that's 1 over 12 minus 8, integral from 8 to 12 of this function. 12 minus 8 is 4, so I get 1/4. I'll pull this 7 out. The antiderivative of x to the negative 2 is x to the negative 1 divided by negative 1. Clean this up a little bit. X to the negative 1 is 1 over x, and I'll multiply the 7/4 by this negative 1, or divide it by negative 1, same thing. Negative 7/4 times 1 over x. So I'm going to evaluate 1 over x at 12 and at 8 and subtract 1/12 minus 1/8. Our LCD is 24 there, right? So I get 2 24ths minus 3 24ths. That gives me negative 1 24th. So multiplying that by negative 7/4, of course, negative times negative gives me positive. 4 times 24 is 96, and there's our result. Okay, so make sure that you're able to compute these values. And, there's some other questions in here that help you or get you to think about what the average value represents, and of course the mean value theorem for integrals as we discussed in this section. Okay, hope this helps.